what's up everybody? My name's Luke, and in this video I want to try and inspire you to keep working on your sight reading, especially if you're kind of at that university level where you see a whole bunch of other people around you and you feel like they've got skills like all the way up here. So if your sight reading's down here, you might be seeing everybody else up there and thinking, how am I going to get there? How are they so amazing? Why is this so natural and easy for them? And in this video, I kind of want to talk about that and deal with this question of why some people are so awesome at sight reading and what it takes to get to there. Alright, first thing to think about. This is your brain, okay? And every single time you go to sight read something, it comes through here, through your eyes, alright? So I want you to imagine that you've just seen the note that you're about to sight read. Alright, and over here I'm going to draw the note. So, you got your 5 lines for music, treble clef. Now that's already quite a bit of information. The next thing is the note itself. Now the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to notice the treble clef. Okay, so that's one step in your brain. Okay, and then you've got to think to yourself, okay, what's the rhyme I need to use for the treble clef? Alright, and that's another step in your brain. And then you actually have to say the rhyme. So it might be every good boy. So then you know that it's boy. So that's another step, actually saying the rhyme. Then you actually have to convert the word boy to the letter B in your brain to figure out what the letter is. So that's another step. Then you need to look at the piano, notice the patterns of black and white keys, and figure out that you need to find a pattern of 3 black notes, and then go to the right of it to find the note B. Okay? So that's finding the pattern, and then eventually actually doing the action and pushing the note. Whew! That is a lot of steps. Just to play one note on the piano, I want you to understand that your brain is actually going through quite a few processes. Seeing the note, noticing the clef, and then all these other things just to know what note you're going to play. But here is the good news. If you do this every single day, you practice seeing that note and sight reading every single day, then something cool starts to happen. Eventually, noticing that clef right there starts to become subconscious to you. So we can rub out the lines here, and that connection becomes a lot more direct. And then, as you start to practice a little bit more and you keep sight reading every day, you know so naturally that the rhyme is every good boy deserves fruit that you don't even have to say the rhyme in your head anymore. So, and I think you're probably starting to see the pattern here, you can skip through that. You can skip through that step as well. And now eventually what happens is you don't even need to think about every good boy deserves fruit, because you just know that this is a B. You can tell that you got 2 black lines at the top, 2 black lines at the bottom, and that pattern becomes so natural to you that you don't even need to say the rhyme anymore. Okay? And then once again, you've knocked out another step. And then eventually, just draw that line there. Eventually, you don't even need to look at the piano and notice the pattern there. You're so used to seeing that pattern of what a B is on the piano, you can just pluck it out in a heartbeat. And so it reaches a point where you can see this note here, and then everything that happens becomes extremely natural, and you can just play the note straight away. Okay, so if you're learning to sight read and you feel like it's taking you a long time, and you feel like you've been practicing every day and you still can't do it, I want you to know that eventually these steps will disappear. Eventually you'll reach a point where they become so automatic that it's easy for you. Eventually you will see that note and be able to just go wham, that's a B in a heartbeat. Okay, so this actually goes one step further. This is true with patterns as well. What if we add, above that B, the note D? Well, after you've been playing piano for a while, you start to realize that this note is on a line, and this note is on a line. And when you have 2 notes that are on a line, you know that that's a third, okay? If you're not following me anymore, that's okay, because this is slightly more advanced of what we were talking about before. And then you know that a third is that pattern there with just 1 note in between, okay? So a third is just skipping 1 note in between, all right? And so you start to notice this pattern. And once again, rather than taking all these steps, you see that pattern and straight away, whoa, never try and play piano on the fly when you're in camera. And then straight away, you can just play it, all right? And this goes one step further. Eventually you'll start seeing, oh, I changed color there. You'll start seeing patterns like this and know that it's just a whole bunch of thirds. And you can play it in a heartbeat. Now, you can take this even further. Maybe there's some extra steps for knowing the key signature as well. Okay, so we've got an F sharp and a C sharp here, so that's the key signature of D major. Once again, if you're not following me now, that's totally fine. But eventually you'll start to see that for D major, that's the pattern. And you start to see this pattern kind of in like a little space inside your brain. And when you start to see that pattern in your brains and it becomes more subconscious, then you can just tell what that chord is. You can place it in that pattern in your brain. So if you feel like you can't sight read, don't worry. If you do this every single day, those steps become easier and easier and easier until eventually you see the note and you can just play it in a heartbeat. Now to finish this video, I want to relate it back to something else. If you want to teach a child how to add things and you say to them, what's 3 plus 4, but they don't even know how to count yet, well, they can't do it. You can't expect somebody to add 3 and 4 if they can't even count. There was a time when Einstein didn't even know how to count to 10 and he couldn't add numbers. All right, so first, they need to be able to do something like this. They need to be able to know that 1's here, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, then 7, then 8, etc. And once they've learned that concept, it then needs to become natural for them, okay? So they need to know that this is 1, and then next in the series comes 2, and then what happens next? Then we've got 3, then we've got 4, and counting like that becomes a whole bunch of steps that they need to take. But once they've learned how to count, if you want to teach them to add as well, then that's a few extra steps. Okay, so the first thing you might say is, okay, what's 3 plus 6? Well, first, they need to find 3, and they might have to count up to that, so they might have to go 1, 2, 3 in their head. And then if you say to them, we're adding 6, they might have to get their fingers ready and find 6 on their fingers like that. And then they need to start counting up. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, counting up like that. That's another step. And then they've got to be able to stop, know that they have to stop on that last number until they finally know the answer. So I'm guessing that you can probably add the numbers 3 and 6. And if you can do that, if you've learned how to do that when you were a child, then there is no reason whatsoever that you can't also learn how to sight read better at the piano. It's just a series of steps, one after the other, and absolutely anyone can do it. It just takes time. So if you feel like you still can't do this skill that you've been practicing for ages, I want to encourage you to keep working at it every single day. Don't stop, because eventually you'll start to bypass these steps in your brain, and it'll reach a point where you can just go from point A to B and find the note instantly on the piano without much effort at all. So it's totally worth it. Keep working at it. My name's Diebold, and hey, thanks for watching this video. I really enjoy teaching this stuff, and I really appreciate the opportunity to show you guys some of the stuff that I've learned through practicing the piano throughout the years. All right, see you guys later on.